All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 25th meeting of the New London Planning Board. We will get started here in just a second. One quick notice, you are being recorded. We are, this is not broadcasting yet, but it's at least available online, right?
Should be.
Yeah, should be available online, so just FYI. Yep. First things first, let's review, we have two sets of minutes here. We have January 24th and February 14th. We can do one at a time. Is there a motion to accept the January 24th minutes?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll do February 14th now. Is there a motion?
So Second.
All in favor? Aye. Great, thank you. And now this is the part of our meeting when we talk, when we ask the public if there's something that someone is here for that's not listed on our agenda. So does anybody have anything that's not on our agenda? Okay. Fairly light crowd tonight, so that's good. Okay, well, let's get started then. We have a public hearing for an ADU for Peter and Kathy Block at 1965 Little Sunapee Road. And if you could just come to the podium, that'd be great. Let me make sure the mic is on. Just tap the button on the center. Yep.
Green light. So we're, as you may know, we're in the process of building a new home on Little Sunapee Road. And in the upstairs area, we'd like that to have a very small but more or less full kitchen. So I think to do that, we need to apply for the accessory dwelling unit. And I'm not sure what else to say to introduce that, but
Yep, so, and just for background, so when Peter and Kathy got their building permit a few months ago, it included this space in it, so the space is already permitted to construct. However, at the time of the application, they were not planning to put a kitchen in there, so it was more or less just a guest suite at that point. And so then when they've gotten into construction, decided to do the kitchen, and so that's why we're here, and then they can move forward with installing the kitchen.
mm-hmm.
Can't you have two kitchens in one residence? You just can't have two residences on one property?
So it's this will be a totally independent suite. We'll have a sort of joint access through the mudroom, but it will be totally independent with the kitchen, living room, bedroom, and bathroom, making it the
like a rental,
independent dwell.
like an independent rental unit?
Right. I mean, I don't think their plan is to rent it at this point, but it would be a regular accessory dwelling unit.
There is not a separate entrance to it. It's the same entrance. There's two ways that we'll enter the house, and it's one of those two ways.
Okay.
Are there other questions from the board? And from the public? Any questions, comments? Did you have one?
Sorry, I didn't see the square footage of the unit on the plans.
Overall square footage, Peter?
Of the entire house?
No, just the ADU. I think it was
I'd be estimating probably
I think it was
14 feet by 20-something feet, so.
Well under our limit.
Yeah, it was, I think about half, I thought. We did do the calculation at one point. Might have been in your building permit application that we actually did the...
It would be approximately half of the second floor, if that's the number you have there, the second floor.
Unfortunately, these aren't scalable plans. We have the large size at the office that I did check it on, but do not have that number before me. It was under 1,000 square feet, yes.
Okay.
I think it was like 580, but I don't want to be quoted at.
That sounds in the neighborhood of correct.
Okay, thanks.
No, we had a department heads meeting today, so they know about it. But no, the fire department gets involved when it's a 3-family unit.
Thanks, Jeremy. Are there other questions from the board? And again, one more time in the public? Okay.
And I should just clarify too that on some other accessory dwelling units, when they're rental occupied, the fire department goes in and does an inspection for egress from the rental unit, because that can happen even at a rental single-family home. Yep. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to clarify that there are scenarios where ADUs have fire inspections when they're rental units, and so that when they're being rented out, then the fire chief goes in or the fire inspector goes in to make sure that the egress windows and stuff for the bedroom are there.
I'm confused now. If Peter decided to rent this out, then he would have to go to the fire chief?
Typically, that's what happens with the rentals.
But we're approving it as an ADU, which allows it to be rented, right?
Right. I mean, the windows all meet the egress code, and there's the two forms there's a window and the door. And I believe on other ADUs, you've just put the condition on there for fire inspection after completion, when we knew they were going to be rented. This scenario, there's not a
We
rental
have
plan.
zero
but-
intention of renting it. It's actually designed for our son's family when they come up.
Yep, but I'm also sure that if the fire chief wanted to go through and do an inspection, that
Oh,
you'd be
there's
able.
lots of doors and two different exits
Yep.
with stairs.
Answer your question, Paul? Yes. Okay. Are there any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, so do we have a motion?
So the finding of facts.
Oh,
real
right,
quick.
finding of facts. Yeah.
So it's less than 1,000 square feet, has one bedroom, which is less than the two that's required, or less than two is required, and it's connected to the primary dwelling unit, and that the property owner will legally reside on site once the construction is complete.
Great, thanks, Adam, for the finding of facts. Now, my question, is there a motion from the board? Okay, we have Paul move. Paul moved, okay. Emily seconded, okay, all in favor? Aye. Any abstain? Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
very
Peter.
much. Thank you. Have a good night.
Move the question.
Okay, so next up, we have the, final site plan review for New London Hospital Association, 273 County Road. Hi. Yeah, you're on. Yep.
Good evening. My name is Hazem Dani. I'm a civil engineer with CHA Consulting. Here on behalf of the New London Hospital, we're seeking a site plan approval for a straightforward project that involves the removal and replacement of an existing above-ground oxygen tank that is needed to be replaced. We are replacing it in place. However, the new concrete pad is slightly different in size, and it would be aligned a little bit differently than the existing. Thus, we're subject to the site plan approval, and also we're asking for a waiver from submitting a full boundary survey for the site because it's a 10-acre site, and the project is considered a very minor project, and in our perspective, we think that the full boundary survey is not needed.
Sure. So, and I met with as I said, the department heads earlier today. The fire chief didn't have any concerns. He had reviewed the plans in more detail last time when you were going to be moving them to a different site, and said that he was comfortable with it staying in the same spot, just on a larger pad this time around. And so the finding of facts were that the tank is replacing an existing oxygen tank, and that the tank meets the site plan regulations for setbacks.
Thanks, Adam. Are there questions from the board about this proposal?
Are there any other approvals or permits you need to get to do this?
It likely will need approval from the fire marshal and
Well, this-
probably building department as well for a proposed retaining wall. just because of the slope near the existing concrete pad is steep, and since the pad is getting slightly larger, we need to retain some of that soil so that we don't disturb any area closer to the wetland nearby.
There's no State Hospital Association or anything that regulates oxygen tanks?
Can I direct that question to Kurt?
So Kurt Croft, I'm representing the hospital. We would go through State Fire Marshal's office as well as DHHS for any approvals, but it's a swap out. Air gas has actually required us to do that just based on the condition of the tank, so we have to do it, but we will talk with all the authorities to make sure that we're okay. Yep.
Okay. Are there other questions, comments from the board? Anybody from the public have any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion from the board on this?
So, and first you'll need a motion
the
for the waiver. Yep.
Yeah, I forgot about the waiver. Yes, thank you. Yep, so let's talk about the waiver. Is there a motion on that?
I move to approve the waiver.
Second.
Okay, first, motion is second, and all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay. All right, and now for the motion itself then.
I move to approve the motion.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Great, Tom.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is a final site plan review for Lynn and Damian Petrie, located at 24 Pleasant Street.
Mr. Chair, I have to recuse myself.
Oh, yes, that's right. Thanks, Jeremy.
Hello, everybody. So the Petries had a little bit of a change in what they were going to do with the property. So if you recall, we came before the board to change it from, I think Adam worded this best, it really isn't a change of its use, it's sort of a classification of the use. They were going to change it from commercial to residential, which is allowed in the commercial district, and have a home business. They are now looking to change that shortly in the future, in which case they will not be living there and the property will convert to, or they want the property to convert back to commercial use. So the entirety of the property will go back to what it was prior. So fairly straightforward, no other changes to buildings, layout, site access, parking, everything's staying as it was, it's just changing use.
Where's 24 Pleasant?
1, 2, 3 buildings down from the bank.
So what is the date?
It's a corner of Pleasant and Gould. There you go.
Yeah, that was the daycare, right? You said, yeah, okay. Are there questions from the board on this one?
So I did meet with the department heads today. They didn't have any concerns, given that they had fully reviewed back in December when we approved this as the home business, that the change in classification doesn't change their view on any of it.
Thanks, sorry, skip that.
That's good.
Any comments from the board?
Adam, could you explain what the status would be were they to sell the business?
So, and I think that is part of this process. So as a home business, whoever owns the business has to reside in the home. And so I think that there's plans to either not reside in the house or not own the business, one or the two. And so by going back to a mixed use in the commercial zone, as is allowed by the zoning, it allows those two things to function independently. If they want to continue to own the property and live in the building and rent out the business site to the new owner of the business, they can do that. If they want to own the property and live somewhere else and rent out the residential unit and the business unit, they can do that. So it really opens up flexibility for any combination.
And if they wanted to sell them separately, they would need to subdivide?
If they wanted to sell the real estate separately, yes. If they wanted to sell the business as one entity and the real estate as a separate entity, just the new owner of the real estate would lease to the business owners. And I'm not even, I don't know if this is subdividable or not. I don't have the particulars in front of me, but that probably wouldn't happen based on, with existing buildings, it can be tricky because with the new lot lines, you have to build in whatever required setbacks and parking and snow storage for each independent lot. So the feasibility of it is probably tough. Yep.
Other comments or questions from the board? And from the public, any comments or questions?
And so the two facts, the change of use to a mixed use with commercial and residential is allowed in the commercial zone district. And the second is the applicant does not propose any exterior changes.
Okay, well, hearing no further comments or questions, is there a motion from the board? Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Or, we know Jeremy's abstaining. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Can I do summer meeting schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we should talk about the Colby Solar.
Yes, yep. So let me, I know it's behind us, but I'm putting up a calendar. We need to chat about our summer meeting schedule. We were supposed to do it at our last meeting and then it got canceled. So as a reminder, we just meet once a month in the summer. So what I propose the dates to be would be we would stick with our first June meeting, which is June 13th. Really, my only thought behind that is that the last week that meeting leads into 4th of July weekend, which may mean that we have some people taking the last week of June into the long holiday weekend, but I don't really have a reason for picking the 13th if someone felt strongly about making it the other. Okay. All right.
Will this be at the SAU? Where will we be?
They'll be at the SAU through at least Labor Day, but TBD, depending on the construction. And actually, you know what? I asked Bill for his schedule, and let me just make sure, because I think so. Let me just.
This is it.
Okay. And then, so for July, I think it's easiest to do the 11th, and then we're a month in between the two. But if it works better for folks to do that last week of the month, we can do that.
I'm out of town the last week of the month.
Okay, so let's do July 11th, or else one of you has to chair the meeting.
Sucker.
And then August, I guess if it works for folks to do August 8th, we could just stay on that, stick to the first Tuesdays for the summer. Yep. And then we would resume our traditional schedule on September 12th. Okay, so I have June 13th, July 11th, and August 8th. Perfect.
June 13th, July 11th.
August 8th.
We can wait.
And if we, I mean, if as long as it's a month before. If we get into a scenario where it looks like multiple people are going to be gone on any of these, we can adjust as the summer goes, but we will publish them.
Good.
Okay.
And that was okay with the SAU?
Yes, we blocked every Tuesday for the summer at the SAU. They have a pretty light schedule there in the summer, so zoning board and planning board alternate weeks, so that if we got in a scenario where we needed to meet a second time because we needed to continue a meeting and we didn't want to make the applicant wait a full month, we'd at least have the date,
Venue.
assuming everyone could make it. Yep. So the Whipple Hall project starts next Monday.
Yeah, the first.
So I think the chairs are disappearing this Friday. So basically all meetings of any board for the rest of the summer, look at the SAU for those. There will be some alternate locations. I'm trying to schedule a meeting with the Housing Commission for us to meet with them. They would like us to sit down and talk about sort of what our priorities, what things that we would like them to work on are now that they've completed the workforce housing stuff. And so initially I thought these meetings tend to be too busy to have them come and dedicate a chunk of time to them. But it looks like there's a possibility that our second meeting in May is going to be relatively light. So we may be able to just use our regular meeting that night to meet with the Housing Commission. But I'll be in touch after next Tuesday when the deadline for that meeting is. I think we're going to get one quick application. But if we have to schedule an alternative date, it will likely be at the library in their meeting room. Yes, it's very nice. The library is a little tricky. They have a lot of other rules for use, and so we'll try not to. Right.
And then we also want to talk about the 4th, right?
Yes.
May 4th, Colby Sawyer has invited the planning board to take part in its groundbreaking for the new nursing building. And let me just look at the calendar to make sure I didn't screw that up.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, 3 o'clock on Thursday, May 4th. Adam sent an email on that, so you should have that, but hopefully you can come. Hopefully we'll have good weather.
Math teacher.
What'd she say?
She said 543.
Nice. Well done. Yeah, so that should be fun, I think, for us, given that we approved that project and it's a big deal for the college. So, anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
I don't really have an update, unfortunately, Joe. Twin Pines is still, right after our last meeting, they had their financing deadline with the state. So I think it's, a couple of months to go through that process. So, we'll just sort of wait and hear how that goes.
About the water issue.
For Twin Pines or for Continuum? So for Twin Pines, I think they had hired one when they were still working with us. I'm not aware that they've gone out to actually do any site analysis yet.
They didn't bring their stick.
I think they're going to need like a flagpole for a well that size. But and then as far as Continuum goes, they were also hiring some hydrology engineers. I haven't had an update from them. Yep.
Are there any other questions, comments? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Thanks, everybody. I know.